The Hail of Darts trap was added to your inventory. Well, that's a fun name, admittedly. Doesn't seem like a huge floor. The irony's not lost on me. The last round I was like, wow, I really love how this game is so full of... Was this the bottom of that pit? Every floor it has its own story, and then that floor didn't have its own story, basically. It had hints of overarching stories. Like, this thing where you get 3 different stone tablet things might be a 3-floor arc. Then you have the other one with the statue, which is probably the full dungeon story. The corpse draped over the edge of the pool is contoured in the throes of what must have been his final agony. Rotting skeletal hands still clutch towards his throat. The limbs and organs bob in this mire of blood and gristle. The carnage stirs with the occasional gust of wind from the tunnel above. Yeah, I think this might have been where you land if you had jumped in that hole like a lunatic. Oh. Oh, it's not a dragon, it's just a drake. At the edge of this expansive chamber, encircled by a jabbering host of Zarops, stands a massive reptilian creature. He's flying. Its snout is spattered with the bloody remnants of its recent meal, gobbets of flesh still speared on crooked fangs. The Zarops shift anxiously, looking up expectantly at the drake, as the beast stretches leathery wings in challenge, brushing the pillars to either side. Yes! Yes! More sacrifice! It flaps its wings briefly, then stirs up great clouds of dust. Come here, dwarf. Be honored. You speak? The drake stamps one clawed foot upon the ground. I speak, and stone shakes. I speak, and lizards bring gold. I speak, and eat well. Yes, I speak. The Zaurp sacrifice to you. Are you the master below? Master below is below. Sacrifice is not very smart. Alright. I mean, we're below now, but I guess they're below-er. You think you see a section of the drake's scaled chest begin to glow orange as it laughs. Master made me lord. Here. Here I am king. Flames gout from his nostrils and gaping jaws. I am god of fire and gold. He is very proud of himself for a not dragon. Cannot stress enough the fact that this guy is a fucking drake. Like, there are much scarier things out there, and he's like, I am almighty, even though there's an entire classification of my kind that is the actual badass ones. But okay. Let's get a shout out there. Okay. Getting a little bit of a hurt on you, huh? There we go. That's what heals are for. Let's wait for 4. Oh, he's dead already. Never mind. I was getting ready to use my level 4 chance, but the fights end so fast. I wish I could get damage totals per character at the end of a fight, just to have an idea. And you'd learn things like how much damage is being contributed to the Devil of Karak over the course of the fight by this guy's fire aura, for example. That kind of information would be useful to know.
Hey.
Appears to have been a big old pile of whatever. Yeah. Gems and things and weapons. No unique weapons or anything like that.
Right.
Just the usual. Well, he was very proud of himself, and for that, I'm like, good for him. The vague shapes of kith are visible on the coal-black ash coating the brickwork. So this is the bottom of the sacrificial chamber. I wonder if I could have sacrificed one of my characters down to here, and they'd be down here, killed by the drake. No, I'm thinking of the pool that was in the sewers of Defiance Bay. Not the pit, ooh. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I'm thinking of the sewers of Defiance Bay. Hello. A lot of fire just happened there. A lot of fire happened there. 3 grazes, 7 hits. Really shows how much damage that kind of thing can do. God damn. Like that's so much collective damage happening at once. Meanwhile, your range of your chant is how good? It's giving a few people fire. Be giving more people fire if this character was fighting anything. One thing is that he's supposed to get a bonus when fighting against distant targets, but at the same time, maybe I should be centering him a little closer to people so his chant can more reliably hit everybody. It's a good chant. That fire damage. Ah, they're still giving me fine equipment. Ornate sword hilt. This fine metal hilt is of unknown origin, though it does not appear to have suffered much weathering. Looks like we're getting the beginning of a multi-piece weapon again. The Zarops have piled together coins, discarded jewelry, and battered fragments of ornamental weapons and armor. That reminds me, I'm gonna have to go back and figure out how to get this helm that I don't think I ever built, right? It'd be all the way down here, I think. Yeah, the helm. One part still remains. It's supposed to be in Durgan's battery. Because that's where they're like, there's one nearby somewhere. But I was busy because there's just a lot of other stuff going on. But yeah, I never found it. So I'll have to poke around and see if I can find it in the future. That's fine. We're building up to a part 2 of that expansion, so I imagine that I can just try to find it again at that point. Nothing I do has to be final yet. The master staircase. I take it this is the... yeah. So previously we only had access to level 3. Okay, level 1 is even mapped as having the hand on it. There's the hand, there's the arm, there's the head, here's the chest. Yeah, it's definitely a giant statue. And we're now 5 levels deep, because this one was actually a very small... this is the smallest floor so far. I don't remember if they said how many floors there are. But we'll find out. Maybe I'll find all these sword pieces while we're at it. We must be getting close. I can feel it in my bones. Also, the architecture has changed. Yeah. That would add to it a little bit. Let's go a little further. That was such a short floor. Don't necessarily need to have more conversation yet.
Let's go.
A skeletal fighter. What are you guys, vessels? We're gonna make progress with you. Wow, you only got credit for killing 3 enemies there, huh? Well, there's vessels here, and you have a 25% chance to kill vessels when you hit them, so... this is a good time to be Palagina. It's a good time indeed.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh my god. Good thing I saved. We'll be okay, we'll be okay, we'll be okay, we'll be okay. Actually, you don't actually need a heal. We actually are just totally okay right now, honestly. Quick, Edar, pull more enemies. Oh god. I just want a chance to use all these summons. But I might have overindulged a little bit. We'll find out. What's one? What? Yeah, 2 will-o-wisps. Weird how that's... the other ones you just select a spot on the floor, but that specific summon you select a zone? That's interesting. Here comes the bad guys. They are going to kill us. Alright, Palagina. Good luck stacking up those kills. Why didn't your thing come out? We were supposed to wisp me. There we go. There we go. Now we have 5 additional allies, so we have an 11-player party. Come at me, skeletons. This one chamber seems to be the majority of the room. Well, this is entertaining. One more phrase and I can throw bouncies around. Not that anyone's damaged right now. Who doesn't like just throwing bouncies around anyway? Whee! Boo, boo, boo! Oh, that was fun. It's a lot of items. How are there more items? I scrolled the mouse wheel already. There wasn't that many items. Where did even more of them come from? Yay. How you doing, Palagina? Yeah. She got 3. Not amazing. There was a lot of enemies, but you know, that's the thing about having to get kill credit. You have to deal with however the game determines that kind of thing. And I don't think that they're as forgiving as Overwatch, where everybody who tags the enemy counts as having helped.
See what we got.
That's a lot of guys. Okay, Ed, wanna help? There we go.
Following your lead. Let's end this.
There we go. I heard that lightning. Kana, ancient memory. A bunch of people gets healed. Yeah. But Kana, 22 shock damage, yeah. Fun having a lightning weapon. A lightning bow. I hope that when it levels up it learns like chain lightning or something. That's because I always hope that.
Oh, look at here.
You can do it. Yep. I knew you could do it. We got the Peridot Overseer seal. We have another piece of the Overseer seal. There's a hammer on it. Is the one piece of new information. The space above the alcove is carved with simple hieroglyphs. That's all we're gonna get from that. Got that symbol that looks like the dragon from that dragon medallion from Neverending Story. At least that's what I remember it as being. I think that was a snake, actually. It's been a long time. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. There's Durgles. Ooh. My favorite part is that you're all vessels for Palagina.
Let's go.
Oh. I found the place full of bad guys. We seem to be trapped in a single file situation. Yaskier, do you have anything you can do to deal with that problem? Not necessarily. I guess the main thing you can do is back up. There we go. Now strike. I just needed to deal with the fact that I couldn't get anyone besides Yaskier to fight anyone, which isn't the best when 3 ranged targets are focusing you. To have only 1 melee guy be able to access. I'm amazed though that an area this big can only fit one melee fighter. It's a pretty big doorway, honestly. Hi? Surprise guy? You totally need the 3 of them here, don't you? There's 3 circles, and I'm looking for 3 medallions or whatever. Tell me. Perhaps. No, I feel fine. Why do you ask? I have heard it said that the Ingwithan set curses upon their bones for thieves to find. It seems the tales are false. And I am glad for it, of course.
Right away.
Funny thing is that Kana's the one that was doing it. Hello? Someone there? Oh gods, I can't see. I'm here. I cannot hear myself. How am I to tell him anything? Please. There is nothing here. Please. Will I ever be out of this place? You hear a gulping sob. Turn back. Come no further. The gods cannot reach us. Seals of the Endless Paths. 2 large, very heavy doors bar the passage forward. In the archway above the doors are 3 small, round depressions encircled by faded symbols. Each appears to have once contained an object, but all 3 are completely empty. Examine the left socket. The center of the left depression is a stylized image of an eye. Middle socket, a sword. Right socket, a hammer. Peridot seal. Leave. What marvelous craftsmanship. I don't think anyone has opened this in quite some time. I told him, please let me out. Let me out. I don't remember what was on the other. Oh my god, this is too many items. Engraving of a sword. Middle socket, sword, bloodstone. Alright. So I have 1 remaining socket to find. That guy seems to be forced to guard as a sentry to warn people away from being here. But when has that ever stopped us, right? It's time we had a fight. These are cool tables with a spiral pattern on them. I like them. Good old skeletons. Those are always fun. Also hilariously outpaced at this point, combat-wise. Yeah, it's not really worth trying to summon something right now. It's going cleanly. The sarcophagus has been pillaged. Its contents removed. The skeleton within has been all but destroyed. Skull cracked into several pieces. That's a rude way to treat skeletons. Sorry that happened to you. How did I not pick this up? There we go.
Oh, look at here.
And there we have the Sapphire Overseer seal. Has an eye. The space above the alcove is carved with simple hieroglyphs. Crested hat. Terrible's protective skin. 9 DR medium armor. 10% of incoming crits are converted to hits. 3 DR against pierce. The young village of Gilded Vale was beset by a particularly territorial fire dragon in the early years of Deerwood's colonial period. It was believed that the beast was provoked by the construction of Radrick's hold nearby. The first Lord Radrick cemented his popularity, and that of his house, when he gathered a dozen of his finest soldiers and slew the dragon himself. Herbal, the master armorsmith of House Radrick, forged his armor from the beast's scales. Lord Radrick II famously wore it during the War of Defiance. Despite the armor's exceptional durability, the many scars and scratches testify to its use it saw during the war. The tree engraved on the curious is on the chassis. Is that chassis? I don't even Kuses commemorates House Gathbin, which presided over the then earldom of Yenwood. The Lord Radrick went to battle against the Earl's forces when the Earl remained loyal to Adir, a source of great irony. Kusi. Quasis. I have no idea. I do not believe that we will ever leave this place. I wonder if Merrick still does. It's just the 2 of us now. as it was when this all began. And the longer we stay, the more certain I am that this will be how it ends, too. We barely escaped the Drake. I cannot help but think I must simply not have been hungry at the time. It must have not been hungry at the time. I would call us lucky, but we will have to pass it again on the way back up. I found Andrus. I don't think he was alive for long after the fall, but he made use of his time. The entire pool reeked of Mokka's tears. The crooked bastard always did love his poisons. Oh, he poisoned the pool. Interesting. Right, because somebody fell in. The main thing about this seems to be its crit conversion. Not sure if anyone would actually end up using it, though. Look how small this floor is. It's coming as a surprise. I wonder if the deeper we get, the smaller the floors would get, because that would make sense. So if you think about it as like a continuous digging... Oh yeah, here's the map. Like, as you dig downward, you would think that, like, the perimeter might keep getting smaller because you're digging from the top, presumably. And so as you keep digging down, if you choose not to dig this particular corner of the room in the next floor, you would think that that would stay not dug out for the several consecutive floors after that, until it keeps getting smaller and smaller. It also might conform to the size of the body, like a big hand outstretched would stretch out the perimeter a bit, but then eventually maybe it's just like his legs together, and then the floors might keep getting narrower. Or it might be that the other floors actually were all this small, and I just don't remember it very clearly. I feel like the sewer area or whatever that had all the giants in it was bigger than this, though. Like this was like one big fight. It was basically the whole floor. Stylized eye. There we go. Try to open the door. You brace yourself to heave the doors open, only to find that they open readily under your hands. With a great groan and a gust of wind, the path forward is revealed. Oh, a level up. Well done. We're farther in than anyone else has managed. Let's keep going. I think the suggestion is that he hasn't even gone this far. Oh, is that his body? Uh-oh. It's the bloody expedition page. I think this is where he died. This piece of parchment is barely legible, having been held tightly in a bloody fist. This one clear portion of it reads, "Find the remaining 2 seals, so long as we leave afterwards, as Merrick promised. Get the books and the final seal from the 4th floor, and run the rest of the way out of here. We'll find some new band of fools willing to take on the endless paths. Sell them the keys to the deeper vaults. Let them have all the glory. Meanwhile, we retire and live long, a quiet life, somewhere warm. I hope somewhere very far from here." Aww. You didn't leave when you could have. You stuck it out for too long. Kept listening to this guy and where he wanted to go. And you died for it.
Ain't that special?
Well, what happens next? Floor 6. We're making good time. Find Gabrinus or the tablet. Are we there? Are we at the bottom already or something? Time and tide. Oh right, this is his quest, which is different from the master below, who might be further down. We have passed the sealed door which barred passage into the lower regions of the endless paths. Kana believes that this was the site of Gabranos' work. It is a grim place, for all that Kana seems pleased to be here, and it may be best that we find Gabranos' remains or his work with haste. Whereas the master below could be way further down. Way further down. Do a level up. Another Paladin talent. That's the everyone gets defenses when I get a kill, which, as we've seen, isn't that many times per fight sometimes. Just because everyone else is trying to get the kills. We already have a focus. A lot of these are the same ones from before. But the new ones aren't marked, so I gotta keep an eye out. It's also good to remind ourselves what the other ones are, so we don't lose track. I do like the idea of an ally getting plus 10 accuracy against whoever you're fighting. Ally target gains haste. Heal chain. The Paladin targets a single ally for healing, but the effect continues to jump between allies up to 6 times, including the initial hit. So it'll hit the entire party, potentially. Once per encounter. Wow. That's a pretty good one. I like that one. Once per encounter, she can throw a bouncing heal through the party, potentially healing like 600 health or 300 health throughout the party. Hard to pass on that. He has really good talents, though, like really good talents.
Following your lead. It's good to be on the road again. A wanderlust is nothing rare in the people of Rawatai. But often I think myself alone in loving the land as much as the sea. What shall we see next, I wonder?
So, good time to get more dialogue done with him. We've done a few more floors, but also we might be at the floor of his goal, so we should probably, you know, tell me about yourself.
What shall I tell? I am Kana, born in the royal city of Takoa, from which rules the Ranga Nui. There. That is a solemn enough start. I am a lore chanter in the college there. Or at least a student of lore and a chanter both.
The accent's right, but you don't look like you're from Rawatai. It's these Deadfire archipelago dialogues. Do I not? He grins crookedly. I take your meaning. My family is from the Deadfire, like you, but I've never seen the islands. My parents traveled to Rawatai many years before I was born. They found more opportunity in Rawatai. My mother took to crafting cannons, aspiring pirate that she is, and my father's work with coral caught the eye of someone important, and then the Ranga Nui himself. The rest followed. What made you leave the college?
I was on the usual path at first. Theology, the traditions, when the Gate of Great Teeth was completed. It was all my father had hoped for, the greatest commission he had ever received. But it was also a sign that Rawatai was changing, looking inward. Meanwhile, I was neck deep in the writing of a dozen nations, marveling at all the things that lay beyond our borders.
And in so many of those books and records, I found accounts of ancient Ngwithan. The Adirans hold a great hunger for Ngwithan relics, and why shouldn't they? It was the civilization from which the Glenfathans learned to read souls. I decided that my third degree would be in history, and that I would study the Ngwithans. They were at the heart of so much discussion abroad, so many discoveries. It drew some mockery. We'd watched Adir draw himself into several conflicts with the Glenfathans over these ruins. Takoa had its own concerns. And soon, I found it, a section of the Tanvi Oratoa, in an Adiran translation of ancient Ngwithan script, just there, without explanation. It seemed like a gift from the gods. Tell me about the lore challengers. My eldest brother thinks we spend our days in song, weaving wreaths from flowers, but the truth is far less exciting than that. The college preserves what knowledge our people have gathered. I would have it said that the lore chanters are Rawatai, for without them, we would have no beginning, no sense of how far we've come. We would forget ourselves with every generation. That's why you should write things down, or you end up like all of Norse mythology, which is that you pretty much are stuck with like one person's recounting of what it was like, because no one wrote any of it down. I'm only a student, yet. But someday I'll return, and tell the keeper what I learned, and she will add my verses to the chant. Yeah, you will. Next game is called Deadfire, so I guess they're taking to the same approach in this series that like Elder Scrolls has, where each game takes place in a particular region of their larger world, and they poke around. And it seems like their games are going to come out faster than Elder Scrolls games do, so maybe we'll get a better complete idea of this world than, well, Skyrim is about to be 10 years old. What is this Gate of Great Teeth? Much as it sounds, a maze of walls like the teeth of some nautical terror. It sits outside the city and guards Tekoa from invaders and storms. The storms have always been more trouble. Nuitanri, the angry titans, throwing themselves against Rauatai's shores. Invaders I'm not so sure about, but perhaps I'm like the man who, being dry, throws off his raincloak during a storm. Kana laughs, so my mother would have me believe. Interesting little metaphor there. The idea of like somebody like, well, I'm dry, that means there's no water problem, and then you throw off the water and then they throw off the coat and then you get wet because the water was always there. It's just the coat was keeping you off and you didn't understand the concept of wetness anymore. Similarly, if you have a great defense around your city and it stops any invaders from ever getting in, then you don't actually know how many invaders there are or how much of a threat they are. This is very much comparable to vaccines and anti-vaxxers and people being like, we don't need no vaccines, they don't even solve a problem, and then they stop taking the vaccines and their kids come up with all these problems that we thought were gone at this point, but turns out you can bring them right back if you just throw away your defenses. What's a Ranganui? A king, our great king, ruler of all of Rauatai. He has led our people well, and he has treated my family very well. My father and he are great friends, as much as one can be friends with the king. Tell me about Rauatai.
Ah, Rauatai. Shall I describe the pearl-white sands, the sapphire waters, the multi-hued tiles of the rooftops, like a mosaic upon the coast? Sorry.
Was there something specific you wanted to know? Tell me about the kingdom of Rauatai in general. It was a long journey by ship to the north, past Ixamital and across the sea. We have settled much of the Gulf and established more recent trading colonies all along the coast. We live as best we can, like anyone else. Our land is plagued by storms, and so we stand together, whatever corner of Rauatai we hail from. Otherwise, we'd never survive. Tell me about the city you're from, Tekoa.
Tekoa is doubly famed, a royal city and home to the Coral Harbor. The Ranganui's palace is there, and we've a fleet of royal ships sitting outside the Gate of Great Teeth. Every so often, you'll hear the roar of a cannon being tested.
The finest ships in Rauatai, and so the world, are anchored there, and some of our brightest minds toil away at the artillery. My mother, for instance, Kana grins brightly. Myself, I have no talent for gunpowder. Tekoa is also home to the Lore College, of course, and we get a great many people traveling long distances to speak with the lore keeper, or else hear the chants and peruse the books. At least, that is how it was when I was younger. Things were a little different when I left. How so? You might say the winds are changing. The Pahari, they are traditionalists, in a way. The Ranganui's son stands among their number. Talk at the dinner table has changed from how far a fleet Rauatai's ship might sail to how well defended our borders are. How far we have turned from the old ways. They talk turns to borrowing Adiran and Valian merchant ships, and things were difficult when I left. There was much arguing among the elders. I trust the king has kept the peace, but I worry sometimes that things have taken a turn for the worse. It's sensible to look to your own people's best interest. Of course. But I can't help but wonder if this is in our best interest. If we isolate ourselves from every other land, what do we sacrifice in exchange for a momentary safety? But that is Rauatai's lesson to learn. Perhaps I was foolish to think I could change its course on its behalf. Interesting end point for dialogue. You can't defeat me. You're being hunted by the Leaden Key? It seems we have that in common. It's all rather absurd, isn't it? I don't see what they mean to gain from it. How'd this all begin? I ran into them in a deer, or rather, they sought me out. In a deer, there were many people who had observed the Angwithan ruins in the Deerwood. Why do I always want to call it Deerford? Wait, no, that's a town, isn't it? Yeah, to the far east. I spent some time conferring with experts. In the libraries, I found accounts of sites in Ixomitl, and it was there I traveled next. But just before I found myself approached by a woman in dark robes, who bade me abandon my studies for my own safety. I ignored her, of course, but I began to have the sense, after that, of being followed. And after that, well, one ambush on the road I could call misfortune, but 3... Who are these people? I thought it only fair to delve into their activities in turn. I found word of a Leaden Key, but past that, it was all ravings and superstitions. I might as well have gone around asking whether someone had ever seen a whale flying through the air. Some might well tell me yes, but the validity of their accounts is questionable. You don't seem worried about this. They haven't had much luck. The last one came up on me on a dig site and slipped on a muddy beam. I tried to catch him, reflex, I should think, but he went right over the side and down 100 feet. Wow, the last person to try to ambush him just fell off a ledge on their own. Huh. Interesting approach, making the Leaden Key seem like bumbling idiots when they're supposed to be the antagonist. But I've also infiltrated them, so I can confirm that they're kind of bumbling idiots. I'm not really sure what he had in mind, but I doubt that was it. Yeah, that's probably about right. You know anything about this place? Kadnua is a marvel, an ugly, crumbling marvel, but even so, it's overshadowed by what it sits upon. But the keep itself can tell you much about the Adiran settlement, a very rigid people, I find. Sounds like you miss home. Some parts of it. Those silver cliffs, the sea, those, at least, no one can change. The day I boarded the ship for a deer, the sunrise was gold upon the water, and I nearly leapt overboard to swim for home. Koa has a lot of this artillery? Rauatai has a lot of artillery. We've made great advances with explosives. One of our artillery masters advised on the Godhammer bomb during the Saints' War, actually. In Rauatai itself, our efforts are more modest. Bombards, cannons. We're having some luck with mortars. You might ask my sister if you ever visit Koa. She captains the Ratu Wana. She knows far more than I do and enjoys great fame for it. It may not be very traditional, but even the most strident demagogue won't touch the subject of artillery. They lose what support they've gathered. Do only Amawa live there? Far from it. The Amawa arrived more recently and formed the greater number, but others have joined us, so long as they call themselves subject of the Ranganui. Some of my neighbors are Orlans, for instance, fine people, though they care little for the sea. People here say the coastal Amawa are a cruel people. Cruel in the same manner that Orlans are feral, and the pale elves graceful, yes? Kana chuckles. Amawa conquered Rauatai long ago, and drove their enemies from those lands in the doing of it. Today, the great kingdom of Rauatai holds humans, Orlans, elves, and even Island Almawa. Kana flashes a quick smile. What a campaign of conquest says about those responsible, you'll have to ask the Adirans. In any case, yes, the reputation persists. Good if you want fighting work, less so if you would like to be a cook. Talking about how you can get good mercenary work just by being Almawa, because people hear about your ruthless people. Fragments of faded and within runes descend the length of these broken pillars. What just happened? Devil Carcass discovered something and it led to some significant... Oh, I know, that's me quick saving. I went back over here. But what are these? Why were these people chained? Oh, you about to find out that the people you're all interested in turned out to be slavers? Gonna have one of those Liara moments where you find out not so great things about stuff you were hyping up. Yeah, we're good. There's more taxes happened. Well, here we are. Oh, an earth blight.
Hello.
That's a new one for me.
Hello.
Thought he was saying hello, hello out loud. I think that was just me clicking on him and him having a reaction like that. This is going to be interesting. Alright, so is an earth blight immune to anything? They have 10 DR. I don't see any indication of immunity. To elements, I mean, obviously status effects. You can't do a lot of brain things to a rock. Oh. Immune to fire and immune to stabbing in the case of the flame blights. That's not good. We have a lot of fire on our characters. Oh well. That's what happens with blights. Huh. The War Club of Mataru. Hey. Got the weekend affliction. It happened on them, apparently. Next we have to do 300 damage with War Club of Mataru with critical hits, specifically, to keep upgrading it. 10% chance of casting Hobble, 10% chance of casting Weaken, accuracy 4, 15% damage, 5 accuracy, 5 more accuracy. A lot of good bonuses to have. Not a bad place to be overall. Alright, well of course I'm curious about this finely tiled room.
Keeping an eye out.
And get him. He dead. Fight over. Okay, that's a few more this time. I want to get into aura range for everyone's sake. Oop. So these guys are immune to swords, or slashing specifically, I guess, and water. Why would Earth be immune to water? The #1 destructive force to all of geology is water. That's a weird immunity to have. Oh, Kana leveled. Hey, he's got his extra DR as an option now when resting. Yeah, I don't have the clearest specializations to have for this character. 7 men onto the deck they went. Free shock DR is really specific. A deflection aura makes a lot of sense. If I want to make like a secondary aura for when things go bad, where I switch to old defensive chance. The wind prism. This dark triangular block of stone is covered in pale, undulating grooves. Undulating. The strange pedestal has a round depression at the top. Seems to be missing something. These machines, they were making blights. That's different. So these blights have been created on this floor. That's why they're around here. Also, blights are a thing you can just create, apparently. This might be a good time to check you. Earth Blight. These amorphous clouds rapidly swirl with violent energy. Within the maelstrom, dozens of humanoid shapes materialize and vanish within an instant. Faces scream in silent agony, while hands desperately clutch and claw at the air around the mass. Beowicks, spirit winds, as these storms are known, often create blights. If souls are ripped free from bodies and caught in the center of the storm, they may become stuck together and bonded with any other elemental substances in the maelstrom. They are pure chaos and confusion, and destroying them is considered a mercy to the souls trapped within. Experimenting with blight creation is yet another questionable activity that has earned animancers a bad reputation in many circles. Some see it as dangerous and inhumane, others as a means to an end. The creation of blights is an accusation many fearful Kith level at animancers. Yeah. Apparently, it's a thing that happens. Because we just walked in on some of that. Uh-oh. Yep. Here's the fire blight room. Now we have an answer about how those things work. Where they come from, I suppose. That's a lot of fire blights. Admittedly, there's a bit of an overfocus on fire. Kana gives people fire weapons. Jaskier has an AoE of fire attack. And Palagina can enchant her weapon with fire. So it's a little bit of a problem when you start to specifically fight that element of enemy. Still, for all the resistances and messiness that you have to deal with, blights tend to not be very durable. Same message again. Some kind of incomplete pedestal. Wind blights. There we go. I'm sure y'all will find a way. Oop, hello. Clean. A rain prism. This pale triangular block of stone is covered in deep parallel grooves along its sides. And there's an old copper key. There's a door somewhere I can open now, and also now that we're finding more than one pyramid, I can come to the conclusion of what they're for. Fragments of faded and within runes descend the lengths of these broken pillars. There's the chained people he was talking about. The engravings remain distant. Something like that. Were these experiments? Yep, it would seem that somebody figured out how to create blights, and they were chaining people up, slaves or prisoner of war or something, and they were creating blights by ripping their souls from their bodies, which I'm sure Del of Karak's happy to hear about. Well, that was brief. Yeah, this floor is way bigger than the previous one, isn't it? I don't think they are consistent scale. The map of all the floors implies that they're all the same, roughly the same size. Because on that map they are, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think it entirely comes down to just being the amount of complexity of the floor adding to the duration of exploring it. I think that some of these are just way bigger than other ones. Does the map say that about this place? Doesn't seem like it does. Oh, the map only shows level 5 though. We're on level 7, right? Yeah. So until I find a fast travel point, I don't think it's going to update that map anyway.
Let's go.
That's right, we're going to fight the rain itself. Perhaps making that particular raincoat comparison a little too apt. Okay, Kana, let's get your ass in there. Because these guys, yeah, they're probably immune. No, they're immune to lightning. What? Yeah, all the blights have the same description anyway. But did it say it's immune to... Yeah, it's immune to piercing and it's immune to shock. Huh. So for some reason earth is immune to water and water is immune to shock. This is like the opposite of how I expect Pokemon elements to work. Oops, I already had that one. Okay. We've placed the rain prism. Look there. Above the door. Overseer Gabranos, we found it. But first we gotta fight this storm monster. Oh, there's a few different types. Man, you attack so fast with the bow. It's kind of refreshing when I'm used to seeing much slower equipment in action. I keep having all these gun characters lately. Alright, crowded room. Thankfully they're not immune to fire. Wind blights have fire resistance. I don't think water blights have any fire resistance, strangely. Or at least they're not immune. Maybe all the elements in this game are reverse psychology. Ah, I already had that prism too. I'm not sure if I have any more though. There's keys, there's dials, there's pages, there's maps. Nope, I think those are the 2 pyramids I found so far. But there's the 4 destinations. But I need to find more of them still. Well, we clearly have a chunk to fill out here. And I imagine... Yeah, I would imagine one of them's up here and one of them's probably... in the guy's room. Beware, traveler. Greater souls than yours walk here. Whoa, what's that? Oh, it's an Onomot.
Steady does it.
So, oh, it's a bunch of them. Oh boy. We can do it. Oh, it's a bunch of them. Those guys are a trip. Yeah, they're basically like animated armor, right? Start popping some cooldowns. Okay. A little bit of... Oh, they're petrified. That's not helpful. Huh. An Adra animat. Adragon? Oh, they're Adra Primordials. Interesting. We somewhat find ourselves in deep shit at the moment. Maybe I should be getting closer to help with the chanting. Oof. Elegina. Petrify is bad. Because that results in getting actual, just straight up more damage coming in. She is not recovered still. Where is she now? Pelagina. Oh, Adair's dominated. Pelagina could fix that, except Pelagina's the one that specifically is under attack right now. And she's knocked out. Well, at least she didn't die yet, but holy shit, she took some health damage from that. This is part of the reason why I give myself these kinds of abilities. Did I really get instantly attacked and stunned as Pelagina? How were they even ready for that? She's still stunned? She's petrified now. Nope. Petrified is wait, is she? She has so many negative effects at once. System shock. That's an intentional reference they're doing right there. That's not a random one that they just threw in there. Okay, some people need to deal with this guy. I'd like to knock some of you on your ass if you don't mind. There we go. Please self-heal. I want to see that bouncy heal. Let's do it. Oh, she's stunned again. Poor Pelagina could not catch a break during that fight. Jesus. Bit concerned. Is this another worrying element? Seems like this might be how they extracted souls. All right, we've made it a fair number of floors down, but it's finally time for a rest. You took a bad series of hits there. Oh. As you sleep, you are buoyed and buffeted by the vagaries of dreams. They tumble and thrash about you and fill your mind's eyes with pale, glittering motes. They resolve into a light snowfall and a biting northerly wind. You recognize the mountains of the White March rising around you, and you shiver. You see Stalwart a few miles away, quiet and still, but for a few curling streams of smoke rising from the chimneys. Durgan's battery is perched above it, its shadow stretched into the valley. Above it all, you hear a deep, slow rhythm. At first it sounds like a distant drumming, but then it grows louder, cracking through the dry air and booming from the mountain peaks. It builds until you feel it reverberating beneath your feet. Watch and listen. Each thud comes louder and faster than the next. Thunder echoes from the mountaintops as great sheets of ice and snow tumble down the slopes. But the rhythm keeps building, shattering frozen lakes like crystal saucers. New ravines split through the mountains as old chasms fill with snow and scree. A rockslide buries Stalwart, and Durgan's battery is shaken into rubble. Shadows rise over the mountains, the vagaries of a massive the vanguard of a massive army. You flee. You tumble from the foothills and bound across the deerwood, feeling the rumble of the advancing army all the while. Barricade yourself in Cadnua. Cadnua rises from the forest, its walls, though only half mended, promising safety. You barricade yourself within the great halls as the pounding grows closer still. It rattles the foundations of the great keep, and just as the masonry begins shaking loose, you hear an unholy battle cry coming from your courtyard. The ceiling collapses and sends a cascade of bricks and beams onto your head. Ah, it's a Pixies album cover. You struggle to wakefulness, kicking at the bedding, nodding around your legs. As you shake free of the last bonds of sleep, you hear a voice whisper something in the language you've never heard, and you see an image of 100 shifting, staring eyes. You awaken, feverishly warm and covered in sweat. Well, sounds like we have reason to go back to Stalwart now. So begins the White March Part 2. Some great army threatens to wipe out not just Stalwart and the Forge, but everyone? Cadnua, Defiance Bay? That seems to be the implication of the dream, is that no matter what it seems like no matter what I did, it was going to end badly for me. Concern.